Welcome to Jamsis.
Yeah,
This is our
this is the first episode
okay.
of Damn Sis podcast.
I just, we like to call it podcast. I say Zoomcast because
Podcast.
it's a little bit of everything.
Yes, yes. Um, I don't know. I guess we can introduce ourselves.
Okay.
So I'm Daniela, and I am a co-host of this podcast with Jocelyn. I think we're gonna have a time to talk a little bit more about ourselves, maybe as we make more episodes. But today is gonna be more of an introduction, like why we decided to make the podcast, and we're gonna talk a little bit about friendship and specifically our friendship. But I will leave it to Jocelyn now to introduce herself.
Yes. Hi. My name is Jocelyn. um, I'm really excited to do this because when Daniela brought up this idea, I was like, oh yeah, it'd be nice. But now that we're actually doing it,
Yeah, this is kind of like a practice because we've never done anything like this before. I think we both had dreams of having YouTube channels and being famous and all this, watching so many people do it. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And I think one of the main reasons we're doing it now is because, I mean, one, the pandemic, I think it has given us some free time. And I think, at least for me, it's given me some time to think about like what else I can do, because we both have like certain careers we're thriving for. We both have these paths we're going by. Jocelyn's still in school. I recently graduated and now I'm working full time. But I think one of the big things this pandemic has shown me is that things can change so suddenly. And I think it's good to have a bit like different kinds of abilities, be able to try a bunch of new things because you never know when you're going to have to use those skills. I don't know. I've seen so many people nowadays like open up small businesses because they lost their job. So now they're either like cooking and selling that or like making art, making like even clothes and like selling it online. And I think people have also like been really supportive in that. And I think that made me think like, oh, like why not try something different that maybe I thought I would never actually do. And since I knew that Jocelyn had always thought of like having a YouTube channel, I was like, let's do it together.
yeah, I had my fair share of attempts in the past making vlogs. Um,
Right.
but they never really went anywhere. So I still have them like in my camera roll, and I it's nice to look back and see, oh, what was Jocelyn like going through a year ago. Um, but yeah, like I said, they never really went anywhere, and I think this would be nice, as we've discussed in the past, to kind of like share our ideas out there to see if anyone relates to them, if anyone is going through similar experiences, or if they have completely different views that it would be nice to share and see how people respond to it if they do. But yeah.
I think it's really good to be able to listen to just regular conversations that regular people are having because sometimes it's really easy to feel isolated and kind of like, oh wow, like is anyone else feeling the way I'm feeling or experiencing what I'm experiencing? And then when you hear someone talk about it and you're like, oh my God, wow, like I thought I was the only one, but they actually feel the same way. It's like you feel a lot better about your situation and like you can relate to so many other people. But I think that's what we're gonna try to create in this space. Different things that we've been through, and obviously like it's stuff that not everyone, I mean, if we eventually have people listening to us, like not everyone agree with our views, and there are even things that we don't agree on, um like with each other. But I think that's also really good because it shows that, oh, like even though there are things you might not necessarily agree with other people, you can still like talk about it and learn from each other. And I mean, there are some things that I'm not willing to compromise with, but little things.
That's one thing that you'll eventually see with these videos and these conversations that we'll have in the future. Daniela's pretty very strong with her beliefs and stuff like that, and like whatever conversation we're having. But that's the whole point, hearing people's views, whether or not they're the same, they're different. We learn from each other, and as long as we're respectful, that's the most important part. Like we're respectful with one another, and same goes to when outside conversations that you're having with anyone. It's always important to keep that mindset, and you know it's always good to be open to other ideas.
As long as long as they're, I don't know, as long as they're the right ideas.
They're the right ideas. Got it all in there.
Yeah, I think, like Jocelyn said, the more we have these conversations, the more people watching or listening will be able to tell that I'm a lot more set on my beliefs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think one thing we forgot to mention, one of the reasons we decided to make this podcast, and one of our big dreams, especially for Jocelyn, is maybe me, a certain Timothy Chalamet, have him on the podcast.
We'll see. Maybe not, maybe yes, but just throwing it out there. Why not? Manifesting it into the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be making these every Friday. That's our goal, to be able to post them Friday. I think this one might go on Saturday because we're filming on Friday. But we'll see. Oh, actually, we might be able to just upload it.
Yeah.
This is our first one, so we're not really.
Yeah,
we're kind of testing it out and seeing how it goes. Yeah. But yeah. But what we were talking about today, another reason I decided to make the podcast is because I think that one of the like areas that you really grow, or you can track your growth by, is within your friendships. Because I think that the way you like are with your friends, or the way the different friend groups you have, or the different friends you like lose or make throughout your life, like it's really kind of like a track record of like how you've changed throughout the years. I feel like with Jocelyn, I don't know, like we've been friends for, I don't even know how long.
I want to say it might have been like after your kink. It's always funny to look back how our friendship started, because I mean, if we're gonna talk about our own friendship, I used to not like Daniela at all, and just throwing it out there, she knows this. She's known this for a while now, that I didn't really like her before she was 15. I don't know, there was something about her. I won't get into much detail about it, but there was just something about her that I just couldn't really resonate. Like I was like, I don't know how I'd be able to get along with a person like that. But that's kind of what makes our friendship like great, because even though we don't have similar views, or we might think differently, pursue different things, that's what keeps it interesting. That's what keeps it fresh whenever we talk about something new. Because I know I can always go to Daniela for like a different perspective other than mine. So yeah, that's it's really funny how I don't know what her views were about me when we are about, you're 96, I'm 99. About 2 almost 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Wait.
2 months and a little. Yeah.
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 So.
But we've known each other since we were like really little.
Yeah.
Because I remember, like when Manuela was born. So Manuela's my little sister. She's 14. And she's actually best friends with Jocelyn's little sister, who's also 14.
Yeah.
And I think that's like when they were born, I think was when we kind of like met each other, right?
Yeah.
That's like 14 years, like maybe 13, but
Yeah.
probably 14 years that we've known each other.
Yeah. And
Because we met at church. Yeah.
yeah.
It's really.
Have been pretty much best friends since they met each other. Well, I mean, they kind of grew up together within the church that we go to, and that kind of just kicked it off. I don't know exactly where. I was like, let me try being friends with Daniela.
I can't remember either. I really don't know.
I can't.
I think it kind of like was a kind of like a gradual, because we were around each other a lot. That's the thing. Like even though like Jocelyn didn't like me, we were still around each other a lot because our families are like have been close for a while, especially at church. We were like the part of the families that after mass we stayed around. We were in CCT together. We were even in like the same classes together. We were that's like one of the earliest memories I have of Jocelyn, which we'll talk about in a separate episode because I think it deserves it. But
Talk about that.
in this CCD class together, and it was just kind of like a mixed class that had people of like different ages. So even though like I was older than her, like we were still in the same class. And I remember we were talking about something like I don't even know what we were. Maybe we were talking about what we wanted to do when we grew up.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and like when we came to Jocelyn, she was 9 at the time, and she said she wanted to be a nun. And we were all very impressed because hearing a 9-year-old just so convinced saying that she wanted to be a nun, and like she was really serious about it too.
We felt so proud. I was like, I want to be a nun. Imagine me. I don't know exactly when it switched either, where I was like, it must have happened. It was gradual. All of these things are gradual. Like there wasn't a moment where it just flipped. But yeah, for the longest time, I was like, I want to be a nun. We grew up in a Catholic church, so our upbringings were very close to going to mass every Sunday, going to Sunday school, and doing our sacraments and stuff like that. And I have religious parents, so that kind of just upbringing pushed me towards like, okay, this is what I know. This is my feelings towards having this type of lifestyle that requires praying and praising God. But yeah, then I think quickly,
Yeah.
I was like, never mind. I don't know. It was a phase. It was certainly a phase, but
yeah. And I feel like you're also the oldest, so that also puts a lot of pressure on you, because you're supposed to be this example to your sisters.
yeah.
So I feel like like growing up, you probably did feel that like responsibility to follow like what your parents wanted. And I mean, what's the greatest thing a daughter can give to parents who are like really, really like religious? Becoming a nun.
God, yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
I think that also that for sure did impact me in some way of leading my sisters by example, but also to like my cousins, because I also come from a big family with lots of cousins, uncles, and aunts, and they would also see me as an example. I'm the oldest of like I think we're about 20 cousins, and I'm the oldest female from my dad's side, and they would always be like, oh, look at Josie, like how she's doing and everything. I was set on what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a nun. I wanted to be a teacher. I was like Mother Teresa, pretty much. But damn, damn, sis. Like,
It's funny how much you've changed. And I called it. I don't know if you remember.
I don't remember.
But I called it.
Wow,
Yeah.
a lot of experience. I'll just take it down a different path. Not a bad way. I'm not saying bad or anything, but yeah, just kind of grow up and you see the world a bit different. And yeah, those are for deeper conversations that we'll eventually get into as well.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like what I thought of you before we were like really close friends. But I don't know. I don't even remember. I just remember like
About me.
me trying to convince you about things.
Yes. Yeah. And but at that point I think we were friends already. Yeah.
Probably actually, yeah.
Yeah, but prior to like your quince, because I have this vivid memory. We got that invitation for your quinceañera. For anyone who doesn't know what a quinceañera is, it's just a celebration of a woman's coming of age in the Latin community, in the Hispanic community, when they turn 15. So this was a few years ago, and I remember thinking, I was like, I am not going to that party. I am not going to that party. Mind you, my sister was in it too because she was one of the little damitas. So we were forced to go, but I don't know what it was. I was just like, there's no way. I don't want this to turn into a video where I'm just like, I hate it, Daniela. But I was just so strongly about it. Oh my gosh.
So at that time you were 13, right?
But it must have been quick where that kind of transitioned, because if there is 2 years and a couple months between us, by the time I turned 15,
we were close.
We were close because I slept over your house the day before, and you guys helped me, get ready and everything. You guys did that montage dance that you were in it. So if you didn't like me, you wouldn't have been in it.
I don't think there's ever been a point that I like didn't like you. I feel like maybe I just thought you were like really like serious and like really like religious, definitely. And I do remember like we were always teasing you because you hated anything close to like swearing. So I remember that might have been part of the reason you didn't like me, because like I went along with your sisters and chased you around trying to get you to say sexy because you just refused to even listen to the word.
I had quite a childhood, which I'm sorry if you hear noise in the background. My sisters, they have no sense of respect towards what I do and what we're doing. But yes, if anyone watching this, kind of be like, oh, that explains a lot of how they portrayed me when I was younger. Yeah, like I didn't swear. I didn't even swear like in high school at all either. So then like right after high school, I kind of had like I don't know,
Transformation.
kind of thing.
You had like a you reinvented yourself, I feel.
Myself for sure. And so yeah, I remember the swearing, the whole teasing about having boyfriends, because I also, part of my upbringing was that I wasn't allowed to date until I was like 21. That was the age that my parents gave us growing up. And as the oldest, I was like, I'm not about to go and like be a bad example to my sisters and start like dating in high school was still a big no-no for me. I was like, I'm sorry to break it to you, but like I don't think that's gonna work out. So it would require a lot of effort of doing things behind their back that I didn't want to be part of. So again, with the swearing, like I didn't want to be tattled on and be like, oh, Jocelyn sweared or something like that. No. So I just decided not to do it. And when I was younger, I caught that feeling that people were doing it to tease me. So that just kind of got more of a reaction out of me, which is exactly what you guys wanted. So I should have learned that a lot sooner and later, that if you give people the reaction they want, they're just going to keep doing it. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can beg them, you can cry, you can tattle on them as much as you want, but it's not going to change the fact that they're going to continue to do it anyways. So thank you for that.
Shows a lot in how you are now. I feel like you're very, like, in general, unbothered by situations, like with people, you know, like if anything, maybe with your sisters, they still get to you because they're your sisters, you know, it's kind of almost their job to just annoy you all the time. But I think with other people, like, you're generally just like, I mean, they can feel how they want to feel. I'm just gonna do my own thing.
I've just learned to go with the flow, which I like. That's just like I'm full 360 from when I was like 10, for example, and I'm 21 now. But yeah, I've just learned that there's just a lot of pain, a lot of crying, a lot of stress. And if you kind of just like let that go, let those strings just let it go, sis. Just let it go. And you just feel so much better. And you're like, wow, I don't really care. And that's the end of the story. Moving on. Because what are you going to do about, you know, how your sisters treat you other than, you know, talking things out, of course. But, you know, they have their own personalities, they have their own attitudes that you just kind of have to learn how to deal with and manage. And the sooner the better.
Yeah, I think that's very true. As like, I think it's mostly not letting like their behavior really affect like your peace, I guess. Because I think that one of the things that I've come to realize recently is that I think we strive to, you know, to like be happy, or like, oh, like when you ask someone like, oh, what's your goal in life? A lot of times they'll be like, oh, I just want to be happy, or I want to like find happiness. But I've realized that maybe that's not really what we want exactly. Maybe what is better to strive for is just like to find peace. So even if like bad things happen in your life, you have the skills or like the ways to be able to, yeah, like accept that this is happening, but not really let it, like, not tie yourself to it, or like make it part of your identity, you know? It's like, I feel like when you say like, oh, I'm happy, it's like you're tying your identity to that feeling. When you say like, I'm angry, you're tying that your identity to that feeling. But if you say like, oh, I'm feeling angry, it's like, okay, you're feeling angry, but you're not going to feel angry forever. It's because it's not part of your identity. Or like, I'm at peace. Like if you're at peace, like, okay, like I think it's also part of like detaching yourself from like the things happening around you, so that you can like move on from them instead of just like ruminating and all the bad stuff, which is really easy to do.
Rather than trying to solve those issues, like you said, kind of just have to detach yourself from the idea of having to be liked by everyone, or, you know, get along with everyone, because that's just kind of unrealistic, you know. But unfortunately.
Yeah. And I think that brings us back to friendships, because like I think that for a while I thought that I had to have like so many friends, you know? Because especially growing up, I remember just feeling like, oh my God, like I don't have any friends, or like feeling really like isolated. But that also might be partly because I think I kind of isolated myself from people because I was predisposed to just think negatively about the world.
Which I'm surprised you didn't do with me. But
I know. And it's funny, that might also be part of the reason you didn't like me, because I feel like since I was very, very young, I've always had this very negative, like, view of the world and of people, you know, like, I was like one of those kids that would say like, I hate people, you know, it's like, I hate everyone. Ugh, everyone sucks. And so like, I almost like would get to a point where I thought I was better than everyone and like literally like isolated myself from people. But I think it wasn't even because I actually thought I was better than everyone, but I was afraid of being rejected because I was insecure about myself. So it's like, oh, let me like not even give them the chance to reject me and just like isolate myself and like make it seem like I'm too good to like be friends with you or even talk to you. You know what I'm saying? And that's so sad. Like I hate that approach to like, I feel like I really like people and I like talking to people, but I think that like because I grew up like that for some reason with that mindset of like friendships and interactions with people, that really like kept me back from creating even more like stronger friendships. I mean, I'm really grateful to all the friends I have now because I feel like I have very strong bonds with the friends I have, and it's like a small group, but I know like I can rely on them and I trust them, and they're good people. But I feel like I wish I had a better approach to making friends when I was younger. Because it's been something that I've had to work on, and be like, you know what, like how about change that view of how you see people, and how about actually try to relate to other people? Because I think another reason that might have happened is because I felt like not only was I isolating myself from people, but I actually felt like, oh my God, like I'm so different. Like I can't relate to other people. Maybe they're gonna reject me because I'm so different. But it's like, I don't know, maybe I feel like maybe some like other people go through this when they're younger, like this feeling, like this like angsty feeling of like, oh, I'm so different, I'm so like weird, like let me like be a loner. I don't know. But it's like, you know, like we're all literally the same. Like we're so much more alike than we are different from each other. I feel like we at some point we all think we're like, oh my God, I'm so different, but we have so much in common with each other, like as a people, that we don't even see it.
for sure.
But maybe it's part of this whole like individualistic society we live in the US, that we think we have to be so unique and like different, you know, but we don't. We really don't. I think it's better to be able to relate to people, which is one of the reasons we're making this podcast, because it feels good to be able to be like, oh wow, like I feel the same way, I had the same experience. I wish I could go back in time and yell at myself.
I feel like that's what, if anything, well, we got more out of this conversation, but the feeling of just wanting to go back and change things, and how, like, you know, for you it would be the whole negative outlook on the world and people in general, and like not being able to make those friendships, or at least being somewhat difficult if you kind of removed yourself from the situation. And then for me, kind of like, it's very immature. It's very mature, but like, what, how else can you describe a 10-year-old who hasn't experienced the world yet, immature? So, but that's just kind of like, at the end of the day, we just have to look at it as a way that, okay, this is what made me the person I am today. Because what if I had not had those values when I was younger, and towards now, like if I had just been like a little rebel, like not cared as much, sworn up a whole storm in school and everything, yeah, I'm sure there would be differences in my life now and who I am. But and the same goes for you, like I'm just trying to think. You didn't have such a negative output on the world when you were younger. Um,
I mean, you know what? One thing I think it helped is I can look at the world in a very realistic way. Um, but and I don't know. I think I guess another good thing that came from it is it made me realize that I had to like change the way I looked like at the things happening around me or like the people.
mhm.
Um, but maybe it also helped me look at things like more objectively because I had to realize like why I was viewing people the way I was viewing them, like where that came from, and like be more self-aware of myself. But I think it would have been a lot better if I wasn't like that.
That is
Yeah,
what at this point we can't go back. We can't change anything as long as we make those improvements.
exactly. I think that's the most important thing is that like I'm not like that anymore, you know, and I don't know the fact that I can also accept that that's something that happened and I'm kind of like understand it now. I think that's also really good.
Yeah. And I think it's also really cool that um as we look back and reflect back on how we were young, like as youngsters and whatnot, like just seeing ourselves how we evolve and grow, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool because you're not constant, you're not the same throughout life, and it's very drastic to how we are now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, who knows where we'll be like 10 years from now.
Exactly.
And like even in like a short periods of time, we change so much. And like we were talking about this the other day, right? How like we were I don't know, I feel like I was really different like a year ago. I mean, we don't have to get into that, but
Yeah.
maybe in a future episode. But yeah,
And even within months, I'm just kidding.
honestly, yeah.
Things change, people change, things happen, and in the blink of an eye, you have to adjust yourself to new situations, and it kind of like it really shows people their true colors. And that's something that I learned from, I guess, working in retail and, oh God, with this whole pandemic. Like you really get to see who people are for them, for like, maybe they don't show it on a day-to-day basis, but even like how they react to uncomfortable situations or in terms of crisis or you know where they need them the most. That's, you can tell a lot from how who they are as a person as well. So
Yeah. I think I mean I've told Jocelyn before, I think that also the type of friends you surround yourself with also say a lot about like who you are as a person and like your own values. And I think it's really important to like that's a good thing about friends, you get to choose them.
mhm.
And I think it's also completely fine to cut out people that aren't good, like friends included, because people change and like maybe over time like you outgrow each other and you can't really maybe you don't have the same interests anymore, you can't relate to the same things, and it's just time to move on.
For sure.
What I have noticed, I don't think I've made any like new friends that have stuck in a while. I don't know about you. Because I've heard that's what one thing people experience is like as you get older, it's a lot harder to make new friendships.
hmm
I don't know, like, what do you think?
I guess my experience with it, with friends at least, um like I can't say that I've been able to make new friends either like that. If anything, I'd have to see that person consistently for a long period of time and then see how it goes, because like looking back, I don't really have like say a close high school friend that I still see or talk to on a week to week basis, you know? So if we come across each other like, yeah, it's nice to be, you know, how you doing? Catch up for a bit and then say that you're gonna meet up, but then not meet up. You just gotta say it to be nice. So there's that. I mean, the only other friend that I've been able to make as somewhat an adult, or I don't even think so, was Tatiana. And, you know, we worked with each other for 1 or 2 years, and then we're still great friends up to this day now. But other than that, no, like making new friends.
At this point, I can't even imagine making a new friend. I don't know why. Like meeting someone new and like getting along with them enough, or like seeing them often enough that they become like a consistent friend that I hang out with or like just talk to just casually, you know. Because I think the same as you, the most recent friends I made were probably from work. And I worked with them for a few years, and like now I still hang out with them once in a while.
Yeah.
But like even in college, I like talk to people in my classes, but and again, like you said, we make plans to maybe like, oh yeah, like we have to hang out like over the summer, and then you never you never end up doing it. Or like you even go as far as to follow them on social media, but like that's really it. So it's like, oh yeah, like I know you, I follow you on social media, you watch my stories, but like we're probably never really gonna see each other again.
And that's the sad part, because I think, as for us at least, one thing that we do share in common is that we were commuters
Yeah.
throughout our whole entire college experience. I'm almost done, so that's why I say our entire college experience, even though I'm not done yet. But like we didn't have that opportunity to like make those friendships last on a day-to-day basis. Like, okay, we see each other for class, we talk each other after class, probably to do an assignment, maybe for some entertainment and fun, but that's just pretty much how it goes, unless you live with the person, you you know, cohabitate. I don't know what the term is. Live together. I don't know. You live together. So that just kind of makes the connection, and, you know, not necessarily stronger, because I've heard some good experiences and bad experiences. But when I hear like adults talk about their college friends and stuff like that, that they still talk to this day, probably because they lived together, or, you know, there was, you know, definitely some kind of bond that made them stick together. Whereas we kind of go to school, get out, and that's pretty much it, you know, which is the sad part. Props to those who are able to take the time, and like as commuters, I'm not saying this is the same experience for everyone, but you know, where they take the time to stay around campus or hang out with their friends that live there, or, you know, two commuters going to school together and, you know, getting to know each other through that. There's just so many possibilities that, but I don't know. It just, I guess the effort has to be put in, which.
No, I definitely, because I think for people that dorm, they're always on campus, which means they can also take classes, like they can be more, I feel like they can be more flexible also with their schedules because they're always on campus, so they're always close to wherever they have to take their classes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're also like have like a campus job, so which also may be more flexible. But when you're a commuter, especially if you're a commuter and you're working, you really have to make sure you take the classes you need to take a certain segment of time or certain days, because either like, oh, those are the days you don't want to like spend so much money commuting to school every single day either.
Mm-hmm.
Or like you have to make sure, okay, after I take my classes I have to go to work, so you can't stay on campus either, you know.
Yeah.
Or you can't club and go to like the meetings for the club. So it makes it a lot harder to be able to join the activities where you can actually meet people and see them frequently and be able to make close friendships with them.
Yeah, for sure. And then having to take into account the time that it takes to travel. Like,
Right.
an hour traveling seems like, oh my gosh, it's a lot. But time goes by so fast. Like when you're on the train, like you don't have enough time. Sometimes you're like, I don't have enough time. But that 1 hour where you could have gone like a could have gotten breakfast with your friend, but that means you have to wake up earlier to meet up with them, and stuff like that, where they kind of just roll out of bed and then go to where they need to go, where everything's kind of like somewhat close to them.
So true, because people when they dorm, they go to breakfast with their group of friends that they made, and then they'll go to lunch with that same group. So even if they're not doing the same activities, they're already seeing each other for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, after their classes are done, like just study groups. What's going on over there?
Oh, bro, I don't know.
Oh my god.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, but yeah, that's. I wonder what it would have been like to dorm, for like the full 4 years. It would have been fun. But
I feel like that could have also shaped us as different people, different.
right? Maybe we wouldn't be as close as we are now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The point of our friendship is that we lived together for 2 years, right? For 2 years. And, not taking it into account those months that I wasn't there, but like we were always together for holidays, for, you know, like weekends and stuff like that. We were always basically together. I felt like I was there more than I was in my own home or with my own family. They were my second family pretty much. So yeah, that's
We've been through a lot together. Yeah. I think like after actually I don't know. I feel like out of everyone in my life, you might be the person that knows me like the best out of everyone.
same.
Like even my parents, even like my sister.
I feel the same because
You've seen all of it. You've seen the worst of the worst. Yeah.
I mean, I think with like other friends, there are things maybe I'm too embarrassed, I'm too shy, I'm too humiliated, I'm too anything basically that would keep someone from telling the other person some type of information. But like with you, like there's no filter, there's no like maybe at first I'll try to hide something. You'll get it out of me one way or another. It comes out.
Yeah.
I think that's something that I do appreciate about our friendship too, because I've never, even though as embarrassing something could be, or like, it makes it sound like I have a lot of bad things to say, but like in that scenario, um, or ashamed, I guess could be another thing, another bad term to use, but it's reality, and so, there's things that people are ashamed of and whatnot. Um, that I feel like you're not gonna judge me, maybe for a second, but not like to the point where like you judge me and I'd feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have told her, like maybe I should have just kept that to myself, because I know that I can come to you with anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel the same way. And it keeps me accountable too, because since Jocelyn has seen the worst, she can keep me in check. She sees me going back to that. So
For sure. Same goes here, like you gentlemen.
And you're not always gonna listen, but as long as I because I think one really good thing about one thing that French should be in friendships is being honest, because I think sometimes when you're friends with people, and I think that's what makes a difference between being friends with someone and being best friends, and like almost sisters, is that you don't just go along with someone, you know, like you don't just agree with them just to like please them, and you don't like support all their actions just because you think you have to because you're a friend, because you have to also be able to recognize when maybe your friend isn't making a great decision, and like offer your opinion, even if you know that maybe they won't necessarily like listen to you, or they might decide to do something else. Like at least like I was honest, because I think it's really bad when you blindly support your friends and just like let them do things that maybe,
Yeah.
you know. But I think that's like one thing we both have, that we are like really honest with each other.
And even if we don't ask for each other's opinions, they'll give it to each other, knowing that maybe, you know, they'll consider that, or I told you, bro, and we're not like, you know, we don't get mad about it like te lo dije, you know. Don't come back telling me that I didn't warn you or something like that, because
Right.
yeah, that's just the honest truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cute. We're cute.
Hopefully we'll be able to do these like in person together at some point, instead of like this through Zoom. Although I think it's a cool way to do it, just to use what resources we have, especially with Zoom now that's so popular for everything. But yeah.
Like existed prior, before.
Yeah, it did. It did. Yeah. Yeah, I remember for my job, there were times when like organizations that maybe aren't like in the same state would have like big meetings with people around the country, and they'd use Zoom. But it's definitely gotten a lot more popular now.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, but you know, maybe one day we'll have our own little studio, and it'll be like super cute. I can already see it. I don't know. I think we're both really good at decorating and like, you know.
You know, shout out. Oh my gosh. What's it called? One thing that we take pride on is our decorating skills. That we don't have like a you know, like a business for this, because we'd be going after some other people who actually do, because we family friends who are in that, you know, decorating industry, I guess. But like we take whatever we can get, even with a low budget. Self-promoting ourselves here. Not that we're looking for that, but in case that's our plan B, that will be our plan B. Yeah, we're very like, yeah, whatever idea theme is, we'll come up with it on the spot. You don't have to, you know, spend $500, you know, to for a nice little party together. But yeah, that's one of our like
Business
our what?
business ventures. That's one of the, I think, I don't know. I think it'd be really fun. But yeah, I can see us having like a nice little studio, because we made a logo today, so we have our
Yeah.
theme. Yeah. If anyone's watching or listening, subscribe to our channel
If you want.
if you want.
If you want.
Damn Sis podcast on YouTube. Maybe one day, if we build up the courage, we'll stream these live. You know, we're kind of trying to keep under the radar now, because we don't want like all the people we know to see them yet.
I mean, it's also kind of funny that you mentioned that, because when Daniela brought this idea to me, I was like, okay, let's just do it as a podcast where we don't have to show our faces. We'll use different names and no one will know who we are. But then the idea of bringing a podcast and Zoom together like we haven't seen that type of platform on TikTok, on YouTube, or any streaming line. I think there is one out there. But I think it's like more video game type, like not more of a conversation like we're having. So yeah, I just kind of had to accept it. Like my face is gonna be out there, my name is out there. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's so true. Actually, we're out there. I mean, if people watch this, hopefully they do. But yeah, follow up.
Yeah, I think we'll have pretty interesting content to discuss.
I think so.
We'll have guests.
We'll have-
Anyone so far, people that we've told have been like, "Can I be a guest?" I'm like, I mean, I guess. Depends on the topic and discussion we're having and if it makes sense, but that's something that we also plan on including as well.
But I think this has been a pretty good first episode.
Yeah.
I think it feels natural to talk in this space. And I'm excited for the next one.
Me too. Me too.
So I think we can end it here, right?
Yes. Thank you guys for watching. If you watched, if not, well then y'all are bonds. I'm just
at least share it. At least share it. I'm like, you don't even have to watch it. Just share it with someone.
I might like it, I guess. Yeah. You learn something new from us. And if not, that's okay.
Like if you want to listen to this just to feel like you are like let's say I really like listening to podcasts when I'm driving by myself or when I'm like doing chores or for when I'm like cooking because it's like I feel like, oh, someone else is here with me, like
yeah.
So even if it's use it as like background noise. You know,
like listening to other people's conversations.
Yes.
You don't have to be an eavesdrop anymore. We're giving you permission. We're sharing with you our conversation that you don't have to eavesdrop anymore because we'll just have it right in front of you.
Yes. Yeah. That's a really good way. I like that. I like that a lot.
For any of those fetiches, chismosos out there.
Well, thank you everyone for listening and follow us on YouTube. I think we should at some point even create like an Instagram, a Twitter, a website.
Yes. We're gonna go all out.
No, it's all our social medias. And yeah, until next time. Bye.